Hello guys, if you like my awesome gaming videos, my programming and web development courses, my editing courses and editing videos, and my tech talks and tech guidance, then you can consider subscribing to my channel and click on this bell icon to stay connected with me all the time. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So this video is very important because in this video I'm going to show you how to implement the latest and the modern version of Redux, which called the RTK Query, which is the most modern data fetching and caching tool. It doesn't only data fetch or mutate like we do create, delete, update, edit, all of those things stuffs. It can also cache some data. Okay, so it is very efficient, very powerful, and we're gonna learn it today. So basically what I want to say that this project has a lot of problem because this was used in old way of Redux. So if I go to the inspect here, so if I go to our Redux panel here, as you can see, we have to call all of these actions like get project request, get detail of each project for getting the detail of each project by its ID, and it has three state request, success, and if it has some failure, it failed. We had the type of project success. If it is success, then we pass some data to the payload and all of this stuffs. This is the very old way. We used to have our actions in one folder like this thing. We have to call our dispatch within our get list of project action. We had our add project action. Okay, so this is a lot of code there, and we have the constant for these are the actions that we just created, and we have the most important, which is the reducer that do all of this stuff. It takes some parameter actions, and based on that it do some work. Okay, so there is a lot of hectic code. As you can see, there is a triple dot operator, which many people find it very difficult. Just for simple updating, we need to write a lot of code, and this is the very old way how we can do that. But this is the video that I will show what is the power of RTK Query. So main thing is that we don't need to do anything here. Just create one more folder here. I'm gonna call it RTK Query. Okay, so this is the latest folder that we have, and the convention is that we need to create one more folder called app, and here I'm gonna create one more folder called store.js. We're gonna create our new store for RTK Query here. Okay, you don't need to store everything here, just put your actions here, or you can use constant here. You can delete this stuff, or I'm keeping it so that I can show you the difference. Okay, so these three folders is not needed, like project reducers, constant, action is not needed as well. All of the thing we're gonna do in RTK Query, and here there is a convention. You need to just write features. In features you will have all of your stuffs. Okay, so one more convention is create one more API folder and create one separate features folder. And features can be like you have some facility called video features and project features, all of this stuff. So here we're gonna work with only our projects API.js. Here we're gonna handle all of our backend API, that code that we need to handle, like create, delete, update, all of this stuffs. Okay, very simple. And we need to create one more slice, which is project slice.js. So this is the two folder that is very important. I'm going to write code later, but this is the setup. We need to create one more API and a feature. If you have multiple feature, then you're going to use all of this stuff. Suppose if I we need to just create a projects, and here you can just pass it here. Okay, you can do that very simply. Okay, it's done. You can add there. Okay, so this is properly modular way how to need to do that. You can, if you have one more features, like in the projects, you have a post. Suppose you have a post folder, you just create post API and post slice. So this is a very modular way. These are your features like post section, comment section, project section. If you have videos, then you have the video section, all of this stuff. Okay, so very simple. Just keep it simple. And in the features we have the projects model, and we're gonna work with this. And one folder is slice and another one is API. So I'm not gonna write any code here because this is the setup that we are just doing here. So basically what I need to install here, we need to install some packages for Redux toolkit. So as you can see, there is no Redux toolkit. We have the React Redux package installed, which is nice. This is the thing we need. We also we don't need Redux thunk. We don't need to install Redux thunk here. It is automatically imported. Okay, so why we're doing it? Because there is some problem. If we just here write add some project, if we give some title, select a category of development, give it some demo, and choose a file here, suppose this one, suppose, and as you can see, it is not added dynamically, or it is not showing here. If you just refresh it, then it will show. Even sometimes the delete is not working, sometimes the update is not working properly with real time in the Django. As you can see, the delete is not working, although I just did everything perfectly, it didn't work. So that is a big problem. So that's why I show you I want to show you the problem that we're having and the refetching, and so this is the problem that we're having. That's why the RTK query is very important. It is very powerful to do this kind of work. So first we need to install Redux toolkit. As you can see, just read the documentation, but before I show you all the things, just read the documentation first, okay? So this is very important. And here, as you can see, we have all of the things. So if you just create a from scratch application, you can use npm create app and give your app name and dash template and Redux if it is a new application. But we are working on our current application, so we need to set up it differently. Okay, we need to install npm install Redux toolkit at redux.js/toolkit. We need to install that thing first, which is very important. And if you didn't have any React Redux, this package is also very important. You must have to add that. As you can see, the Redux toolkit is installed. But now I'm just deleting everything, just these two files. I want to delete this whole features, because this is a very simple application. We don't need to do modernize all of the stuffs or do any other thing, because I want to keep it very simple for you guys, because this is a very beginner project. Okay, so here I'm gonna write API slice.js, and here I'm gonna create our whole API for this project. So now I'm gonna use our documentation. As you can see, we need to import our create API. This is very important, and we need to import it from redux/toolkit/query for normal node project. And if you are working on React, just use this thing. Okay, so read the documentation for this startup if you don't understand anything. So basically what the create API do is actually the core of RTK query functionality. It allows you to define a set of endpoints, describe how to retrieve data from a series of endpoints. Okay, and including configuration. You can also fetch them, transform them, do whatever you like. So these are the thing that is very important. And then we have one more thing, which is fetch base query, where we need to pass the base query, and it uses the fetch API. We are not going to use the Axios here. The base API uses the fetch that JavaScript has. So this is very important. Okay, so let me use that thing. So first we need to import create API from at React.js toolkit query, and this is the thing very important for RTK query and from React. And here we're gonna import create API that will give us all the endpoints that we need, and we have the fetch base query. Now we have one more thing, which is fake base query. And when I'm gonna show you my own project with the RTK query with the Firebase, I have all the project based on it. I'm gonna show you later after I just complete this project. And here you will see the power of fake base query, where you're going to use third-party API like Firebase to get all of the data, put data, edit data, upload all of those stuffs. Okay, so not in this video. So fetch base query. Then what we have to do, we need to just const. So this is for API slice. API slice is equals to create API, and here we can pass all of our endpoints. And it uses builder pattern. As you can see, we have a simple API. Okay, and we have a create API that takes some parameter, and inside that, as you can see, we have a base query and base URL. Okay, so here we need to pass. If you just press Ctrl and space, you see the suggestions that we have. We have tag types, we have endpoints, we have base query. So if the base query is also very important, and it has something called fetch base query. Here we need to call that thing. And this is the thing that we just imported. Okay, so here I'm going to use fetch base query, and here it takes, as you can see, parameter base URL. So what is the base URL of our application? So if I go to our backend, we should see, so this is the base URL. Okay, so http 127.0.0.1 8000 port and API slash. Okay, so let me just remove it. We will use this thing later. Okay, so this is very important. So this is our main API. If I put 1, it will give us data of 1, and if I just put it 2, it will give me data of 2. So this is our endpoints. Okay, so this is our root endpoints. So this is be common for every single thing, and so this is working perfectly. Then we to use tags, tag types. So this is an important thing to understand, because this defines which type of application that you are working on. Suppose this is a project model that we are working on, you can give this a name called project model. If you are working on a post model, you just name it as post. Okay, you can put multiple like post, one is for comment, one is for review, or different kind of thing. But here, very simple application, we are just working on simple project. Okay, so that's why I'm just name it tag types project. Then what you can do, you have all of the features like tag types, then we have the endpoints. So this is the main thing. Okay, so endpoints, so it uses the build thing. As you can see, we can use build.query to get all of our data from the API. So you can just copy these stuffs, whatever you have. You can have endpoints, and just write to the builder or build, and here you can use, make sure you do same way. Here you're gonna write your endpoints like get projects, and here you're gonna use build.query. It has two things. One is query, one is mutation. As you are getting all of the data from the API, as you can see, get all the projects, it uses query because we are not changing any data. But if it is an add project, then it should be mutation. You see everything in this project as well, because this is a very beginner thing, and I think most of the people, you should know about it. And then we just use this syntax, first bracket, then inside we have the second bracket. Now here we can put all of the thing. Here we have a lot of functionality. If we use any third-party API like Firebase integration, Firebase storage, all of this stuff, then you're gonna use the query function that has a lot of functionality. But here you can also use provide tag that I'm going to use in this project as well. You can have on query started, which is very important for advanced query system called manual updating of your project for extra performance. So for the best performance of your application, you can use this thing. And when you have a new information added on your cache, that you can use this thing. All of the thing is very advanced concept. Here in this video, this is my duty to show you the power of RTK Query and how simply we can build our application very easily and state manage properly and make the application very powerful and efficient. Okay, we have a lot of stuffs. So in this video, I'm going to work with 2 or 3 in this functionality like provide tags, query, all of these stuffs. Okay, so here we need to use query, and here in the query, and here you can just pass this arrow function type of thing, and here you just need to pass, as we have the base URL here, we don't need to write it again. We're gonna write this, and it will get all of our data. It should get all of our data. So it is very simple stuffs. So this is our main endpoint, so we don't need to write. If I write it like this, then I have to write /API/, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just keeping it very simple. Just copy this thing and paste it, and this is for your add project. So if you want to add some project, you need to use mutation. So here mutation is very important. Here you need to use mutation, and here you can't write anything like that. Here you have to use different kind of thing called URL, and URL should be, I think this is not add project, this is a simple URL, and make sure it has a method. It has a method of post, because we are posting some data to database, and in the body tag we need to pass some data. So which data? Here we're gonna pass some data, which is the form data, okay, that we need to pass. So very simple as project. If we go to the add project API, as you can see, it uses the post method, and in the body whatever we pass in this add project functionality, so this thing will be working as your dispatch. We don't need to use dispatch here. It will automatically handle all of our stuffs. So this is very simple. And then one more thing, to update project, to update your project, and here this is also a mutation, so we need to have a mutation, but here we can pass 2 information, one is ID and one is data. But here I will pass something like object like ID and data. So this thing will work much better. And here we need to pass our dynamic content, so just arrow, and here we need to pass, as you can see we have the API, and we need to pass /id, so this ID, and I think this should work perfectly. And this is a put request, and whatever the data user sent, we're gonna update this stuff. Okay, now it's time to delete. Okay, and here we're gonna delete the project. Okay, so this is also a mutation. Here we don't need to add this thing, we can pass only the ID. If you have only one parameter, use this thing. If you have multiple small parameter, use this object syntax. Okay, for ID, for data, you need to pass different kind of things. And here the method should be delete, and we don't need to pass anything. So our delete, edit, all of the thing is done. This is for the post, this is for the update, and get single project. Get single project. And here also you need to pass this standard is this operator, and here you're gonna pass the ID here, and for that you need to pass ID here, get some, so we need to use this thing as well, /ID. So give us some project based on this ID. So we have all the 5 APIs that we just created, and here export const and API slice. Okay, so from the API slice we're gonna import all of this stuff so that we can use it inside our components. Okay, so here I'm gonna use add project mutation or use get projects query. So this is to get all the projects, and use get single project query. As you can see, the convention is very simple, use and get single project query. It is taking your this name, get single project, and it is just making it uppercase, as you can see. And last we have the query, because getting a project is actually a query, or getting a data is actually a query. But if you use add project, as you can see, add project mutation, this is actually a mutation, so it is named like that. They automatically do it all the thing. Then we have use update project mutation and use delete project mutation. So in the beginning you might find it a little bit of overwhelming, but this is the most simple way and easiest way to do this kind of work. Okay, so this is very simple stuff. So just save it, and what you need to do, we need to set up our store, and here we need to write one more thing, which is reducer path. I'm gonna name it as API. Okay, so this is the reducer path, and so we learned 3 things, which is the phase based query that takes all of our main root base URL where we were working on our API, and it takes our tag types, whichever type of thing that we are working on. This is a project model, and that's why this is a very static thing. Okay, you can do it like whatever you want, but make sure you have all of the things, like we have get project, single project, add project. So this, the model name should be like that, or the tag type should be like that. And we have the endpoint. So those are the main important thing. Now we need to go to our store.js, and here we need to import something. So as you can see in the Redux toolkit, as you can see in the RTK query, we have all of the setup that we can do. So first, this is the reducer path that you use. Then we have the base query, that endpoints. So now we need to set up our store. So we can just copy and paste this thing. Import create store from Redux toolkit, and here we can use export const our store, and we need to configure store, and configure store takes something. First one is reducer. Okay, you can use reducer, just name a reducer, and here we need to pass this thing, API/reducer path, but it is not importing. So let me check it why it's not importing. Export, I think we should export const API slice. Okay, I think now it will work. There is some problem there. Okay, now it is working perfectly. So we have some problem with the import. So API slice, and API slice we have the reducer path. As you can see, everything is coming, and API slice.reducer. Then one more important thing we need, which is the middleware. We can just copy this stuff. It is outside of the reducer, so it is middleware, get default middleware, and get default, and it is concatenating our own middleware. So our own middleware is coming from our API slice.middleware. This is very important, because we don't need to write our own middleware for that. But in the Redux toolkit and the previous version of Redux, we have to create all of this stuff. So if I go to our previous applications, as you can see, the actions here, as you can see, we need to create our own different type of dispatch. Like as you can see, this is an asynchronous task. We are handling all of those things, and we have a default middleware that handle all of those stuffs, as you can see. So this is actually the middleware thing that we're working on. As you can see, this is all of the extra code that we have to write. But now this thing would be handled automatically by them. We don't need to write for request, for success, for failed. We don't need to define anything. Okay, so these are all the things done by default. So this middleware is very important. That's why you need to write these 2 lines. Okay, so this is the same thing that we are doing here. We need to do one more steps here. We need to provider, and we can delete this store, and we can, this is a very hectic store. We need to have a lot of things like thank middleware, another reducer to handle all the reducer for delete, for edit, update, all of those things, and all of the stuff. So this is very hectic. I don't think we need it. We can delete this stuff from here, and we can easily work with our application. And here I need to import store. As you can see, this is the new store. In the app folder store, this is the new RTK Query store. So this, we are modifying every single thing. Okay, so here everything is working perfectly. Now the application will get crash, so don't run this. Okay, so this would be a really big problem. We don't even need this stuff section, just these 2 folders, this app folder and this RTK Query API slice folder. So these are the 2 folders, very important. And let me implement this get all the projects. Let me check if it is working properly or not. So go to the projects list, and all of the UI stuff is done properly. There is no issues whatsoever. I just keep it very simple. We don't even need this use effect. We don't need that. Also we never gonna need these stuffs. We don't need these stuffs, and we also don't need use effect. We can delete all of these stuffs. So let me delete everything. We don't need all of this stuff. Just what we need is const, and here we'll have our data, and just call use get all projects query. Okay, so this is a check. If it has some error, you can just check it. Okay, so that's why I'm writing it. You can skip this part as well. So use get projects query, it is saying that give me all the projects that you have in your API in the data. Okay, so this is the thing. So if I just go into in the documentation, as you can see, we can get the data, error, loading state, all of this stuff. Okay, so in the data we have all of the projects. You can just rename it, and it has is error, is loading, okay, is success, is fetching, all the stuff, and even if you can handle the error. So how awesome is that? It is really good. You don't even need to use this thing. So previously what we do, we have all the data in the use selector. We just get the state and get the state, and from there we just getting all the projects information that we have in the store. Okay, so this is the thing that we introduced, but now we don't even need that. Even we don't need use effect. So in the previously we use use effect, and on the use effect we have to call our dispatch so that we can call all of our get list of project. This is the action that we just call to get all of our data. Even we don't need that. So how simple is that? So if I just console log data, you can see all of our data, but I'm sure it is working. So I don't need to do that at this moment. Okay, even we don't need use dispatch use selector from this thing. So all of the things just go away, and we don't need. It is very simple now. It is clear, crystal clear. And here we can easily get of all of our data. Here I just giving it a simple check if is not loading, and projects dot length, if projects dot length is greater than 0, okay, then we do all those stuffs. And here projects dot length, make sure you just check it. Okay, this is a very simple and secure checking. So if there is no data, then all of your application will be get crashed if it doesn't find any data. So here this checking is super useful and variable and valuable. This is very important. And in the projects we have all of these stuff like is like ID, thumbnail, title, category, simple stuff that we need to have, like its demo, and you can go to its particular view page or single page or the detailed page, as you can see. So all of the thing is working perfectly just in this applications. At this moment I think it will work, but before that I need to just comment out these stuffs, because this stuff will have some big issue. Okay, I think now it will work just fine. We have just one more information, which is project list component, and that is getting all of the data. So I think it will work just fine. Okay, it worked perfectly. So if I just hover over view, and as you can see, it is going to detail 1, detail 2, all of this stuff. So it is showing all of our data. If you inspect this, you will be really amazed. So just learn everything. As you can see, it handled everything for us. This API, this naming convention that you are seeing here. So let me just zoom out a little bit so that you can see. If I go to our API slide.js in the API folder, as you can see, our reducer path is API. If I just call it API 2 reducer path, as you can see, it is calling it API 2. And if I just name it simple, this is simple. So this is very important even for the interview questions as well. So we have the payload, and the payload we have 2 data. So in the 0 index I have this data, and the 1 index I have this data, and the type is automatically set. We don't need to write any actions, action constant or action function, anything. We just write our simple API in the backend. As you can see, get projects, only simple thing, this API, and we're gonna calling it inside these projects. Okay, use get projects query, and in the data we just holding this and we just mapping through it. So this is the most simple way to do that. Okay, so this is the main thing, that RTK Query is very famous, and I really like it, and actually love this technology. This is the most modern way that you can do. Okay, and we have 2 things. One is type, payload, and the meta tag. We have those things. If it is fulfilled, it will give us something called request ID and request status, which is fulfilled. But if it is not fulfilled, it will give you cancelled or something else. And the type, as you can see, the type is query, because this is a query. We are getting this data. We are not updating, editing, or adding anything or deleting anything. We're just getting it. So that's why it is type of query. So if we go to our subscription option, it has some data in the endpoint. Endpoint is get projects. Endpoint get project, how you can get that thing. And if we go to the API slice, as you can see, this is the API that we are having. Get project. This is the endpoint. Okay, so this, as you can see, this is very smart. It knows our endpoints. It knows our cache query, as you can see, because it works with the caching system as well. This video is just the basic. In the next 2 or 3 part, I'm going to show you the most advanced thing. So but just understand the main basic of the code thing, which will be really helpful. It has request status, request ID, it has the endpoint name, whatever endpoint name you just typed, it is completely up to you, and it has the type of query. If you just add some data, it will show you mutation. In the arc, you have all of the data. In the payload, you have the actual data that you get. But in the view, this page, it will not work. It will have some error because it doesn't add all of the stuff. Okay, so our main application is working. So now it's the perfect time to add some data. Let me add some data and just show how it is very important. So let me mutate something. So in the add, this is very simple. And the add, just you don't need to write anything, man. This is just keep it as simple as possible. We don't need to clear data, and here we don't need to use dispatch. We don't even need to use dispatch, just keep it. And here we have to just use one more thing. Let me remove this dispatch. We don't need any of this stuffs. I'm gonna use const, and here this is the tuple. And the previously I used like this symbol, but for mutation you add this tuple or the third bracket or the square bracket. And I'm gonna use add project mutation. This is very simple, just give it a checking if it has some error. Okay, so now we use add project mutation. So previously I used the query, now it is the mutation. I created everything inside this API slide. As you can see, add project, this is our endpoint name. It will go to this endpoint and method post, it will update, it will post some data to this API. Simple stuff. So in the add, here we just give it the same name, add project. You can copy the same name here. You can copy this stuff. So this is the most awesome stuff that I have ever seen. And here also in the object you have the error is loading. So when you want to add something from it into the database, and if you're facing some error, you can show this all of the thing to the UI, to the user. Okay, but I'm not gonna do it because it will make the application this video really big. So here instead of dispatch, we are getting all of our data, just like when you click on project submit handler, we are getting all the data from our UI and hold it in this thumbnail, title, category, description, demo, all these stuffs. And we can just pass all of the things. As you can see in the form data, we have the thumbnail, title, category, all of the stuffs, and this is the thing that we are having. Okay, so simple stuffs, and we need to just pass this thing in the add project. If I call this thing, and here you can pass the form data, simple as it is. So even I don't need that, I can just remove everything. Okay, so this will work just fine. We are taking a form object, and in the form we are appending some data like key, value pair, thumbnail, title, category, description, all of the stuffs, and just put the form data, simple as it is. Just pass this thing data, and it will work just like a magic. Okay, so this is the thing that we want to have. Now I can do all of the stuffs very easily and very simply. Even we don't need to write dispatch, just forget it. We don't need to use this thing. Use dispatch and use selector is hardly used. Just for simple stuffs like searching, filtering, we might use this use selector, but use dispatch is not used too much here. Basically it is not used at all mainly. Okay, and so because we have this thing, this is the main thing that does all of our stuffs. You just passing this thing, and now as you can see, I think it will work just fine. Project. Okay, we have some problem, so let me check what the problem that we have. No route match. Okay, no route match. We need to go to our app here. Okay, just uncomment this thing, and here I'm gonna write add project. So this is so I just commented out these other two, which is for detail and update, which I'm gonna do later, but this is for the adding of projects, and here I'm gonna just call add project component. Okay, so it should work just fine. So let me go to our application and let's check it. Okay, it is working. Now if you just type like learning RTK query, and this is for the front-end application, and this is for learning RTK query, and give it a demo link, like any link. You can give any link like this link, it should work, and choose a file. Okay, this file, suppose add project. It is done, but the problem is you don't see the latest data. But why? If we just refresh it, I'm gonna see the latest data, but I don't want it. So what's the solution here? The solution lies in our main API. So this is the main problem that we want to fix here. So how can you do that? So that's why the knowledge of tag is coming up. Okay, so automated refetching. If you go to the automated refetching, you have to use something. If you add some data, you need to invalidate the tags. Invalidate the tags. So this is the main thing that you need to use. Here we have one more thing, which is invalidated tags. Okay, because it is because RTK query will hold everything inside the cache. That's why it is not showing. The latest data is not showing immediately. That's why invalidated tags helps. And as you can see, it is suggesting project. So let me check if it is working or not. Okay, so let me go to our add project again, and here for that we need to do one more stuff, which is provide tag. Here in the get projects, when you add it means that when you add some data to the project model, it will invalidate all the tags and refetch the get projects again, so that we can show all of the data in the real time. Okay, so that's why you need to pass the provide tags as well, and which is project, simple stuff. So this is not anything that I just remember. This is just in the documentation. It is automated refetching. To do automated refetching, you must use this thing. If you do mutation in the mutation sections, you must have to use invalidate tags. It will invalid this post tag and it will refetch this get users. Because you are adding something in this node, then you need to refetch all of your get users or get projects again. So in the get section, you need to use the provide tag, whichever thing I want to refetch. So you need to match those stuffs. So if you want to refetch this post, you need to use get projects, and get post, you need to use this thing, tag type post. Okay, so these two tag types should be matched. And in the get section, you need to use provide tag, and in the adding section or editing section, you need to use invalidate tags while you are mutating something. So first one, the get project should be refetched when you add some data into the projects model or projects API. So this is the main thing. So that's why it is now real time. So now if I add some data, suppose anything, web development, any demo link or any demo image, okay, it's very simple. It is real time now. As you can see, it is working really fine. In the Redux, as you can see, it is fulfilled. In the payload, we have another data. In the meta, as you can see, it is fulfilled. In the argument, it is fulfilled. So when you add some data, it will show something else. So if I just add one more data here, add projects, and this is simple demo information. I can put any information like this thing, add, it is fulfilled, get the data, and it is fulfilled. Find that, as you can see. So this is the thing that we want when we add some data. We have the add data, and in the meta we have all of the stuffs. And the payload that we are adding here, this is the thing that we have added. And in the endpoint name is as project, and type is mutation, because we just added some data. So this is very simple stuff that how we this application or RTK query is working, and it is real time, as you can see. So in the previous projects of Redux old way, I didn't add this real time feature. When you add some data, just automatically didn't refetch. Okay, so that's why we have the awesome thing called invalidate tags. It means that it is not in the cache again, it should refetch when something changes. When you add something into this project, it will invalidate these tags, and it will fetch this get projects again. And make sure these two names should be same. If you give it another name here and another name here, it will never gonna work. Okay, so this is the same thing we have to do for the delete and for the update as well. So let me just add this thing here. Okay, and in the delete as well, let me add this thing. For the delete, this thing will not work, because it is just updating only one parameters. You can just write like this, type post id 1 2 3, all of this stuffs. Or for the get post, suppose you want to change only one information. For only one information, you don't want to refetch everything, only one thing that is changed. So then you need to use this thing. It has a unique id. This is the tag type, as you can see, and this is the provide tags. So this is very useful thing. Okay, so for the invalid tags, you can use this type of thing, or this type of thing. Let me copy this stuff, provide tags. Okay, and paste it inside the get projects here. It has three things: results, error, argument. So in the results, I'm going to go to each result.map and find the id, whichever id that we need to refetch again. And it has a type post, and here I need to give it a project name called project, and just copy this stuffs, paste it, and paste it. Okay, so there is lot of amazing stuff without this thing as well, called manual refetching, called pessimistic and optimistic, which is more advanced and much more better than this. But this video is just to do with simple stuffs. It is basically going to the each results on your application. It is going to the each data or each projects of your application and find whichever id that we are changing. Okay, and if it is changed, it should refetch. Okay, and it has a type id and it should refetch. So this is the normal technique of tag types. Okay, so this is the same technique that we are having. We have one more technique for the deleting For editing or deleting, we have this technique that you can use. Okay, id, very simple, and you have a .id. So you can go there, and for the delete, you can use the stuffs again. In the type of project, okay, invalidated text takes 3 parameters. One is result, error, and argument. And argument has normally has some ID, and it has a type of project. Okay, so these are the main thing that we just take. So if we just do these stuffs and use this documentation and read all of this stuff, you will understand more perfectly what it is doing basically. And for the update as well, you can do this stuff. So let me check if it is working, but if it is not working, I'm going to change some stuff and you will learn much more better. Normally I don't use this technique anymore. I use manual refetching, which I'm going to show you in the next part. Okay, not in this video. So I highly suggest you to read this thing. Okay, this thing is legendary. Now I'm going to work with the detail of your application. So detail is very, very important. Just to remove every single use effect, because here in this detail project I need to handle our delete functionality as well. So we don't need this thing, we don't need this project detail, we don't even need that, we don't need dispatch. Okay, simple. And here I'm going to use const get a single data. It will be coming from get single video project query, and here you can pass this ID if you want. Very simple, get single project query, it takes some ID, and in the data you're gonna have to have a single project. Okay, and we can have your is loading, is error, and error object. Simple. And here you're gonna use our single project. Single project will have all the stuffs like single project dot thumbnail and single project dot title, category, description, demo, and also you can use handle delete ID, and this ID is actually this ID. Okay, for delete you can use this thing, single project dot ID. This is the thing that you want to delete. Suppose you can use this stuff, and for this is for the update button. Okay, it should go to single project dot ID. Okay, for updating. Well, that is the thing we're gonna do later, but let me do our delete functionality first and get all of our data. Okay, in the detail page. Okay, so this is for the handle delete, and we can also just import delete here. Let's just do these two things. And delete is a mutation, so we need tuple, use delete mutation, and delete needs an ID. Okay, and delete mutation needs an ID. If we go to our API slice, as you can see, delete mutation is an ID, and get single is also taking an ID. So this is super important. So in the detail we need two things, which is delete project. Okay, and with this taking an ID, this is the ID that we're getting from the params. As you can see, if I hover over it, we are getting an ID. This is the ID that we hover over, and we're gonna delete this stuffs. Handle delete will take that ID and just delete this thing. So here I'm gonna go to delete project, and delete project, we just pass that ID that we got inside this handle delete. As you can see, we just got the ID, and this is the ID we're gonna delete, and just go to our navigate to our application. So it will work just fine, and we have the delete functionality. Now I need to show every single thing in the single project, and we also getting it. Okay, as you can see, we have the get project, single project query, and we have the delete as well. So delete, this thing will work just fine. We don't need use selector, use dispatch, use effect, all of the complicated stuffs. We just need simple API slice, get all of the awesome thing called delete mutation, single project query in the detail page. This is the two simple line of code that we just need. So how simple and easy this thing, just one line of code, and you get the actions easily here. We don't even need to write dispatch or anything. Even we don't need to write any kind of actions here. This is not an action, just a simple thing that does some work. Okay, so if we go to now detail page view, so there is some problem. Let me check what's the problem. Detail project. Okay, so we don't have the route. we copy this route, we just name it as path is actually detail project slash id. So we need to go to the detail project page. Okay, simple. So now it is working perfectly, I guess. Property cannot read property thumbnail. Okay, log this single project. So if we got it or something else happened here, refresh it, undefined. So there is definitely some problem with the fetching of single project. Just let me just write it like this way. Single project.id so here, so we are just checking if it has some data, then we are just mapping over it like thumbnail, title, category, description, all of the stuffs. So I hope now it should work like fine. Okay, now it is working properly. We just need to check if it has some data. So in the beginning it will not have some data, but if it has some data, then just render out this thing, or there is no data. Okay, so this is very, very important. And another thing is same, we just get the id from the use params. As you can see in the use params we have the id, and based on that we are just getting this data. Okay, and just showing all of this stuff. And for the delete, this is the same thing in the delete actions. As you can see in the mutation, we're just passing the id and then navigate application, and let me go to this view, and as you can see it is super fast, everything is working super nice and amazingly. And suppose I want to delete these things, I don't really like it. As you can see, it's so fast, so easy to smooth, and there is no reloading as well, and it is working so super fast. So because now the ad is working perfectly, you can add any information, you can add any data, and this is super stuff, super, and it just automatically refetch when you add some data, because we added all of these stuffs called this provide tags. You must have to use provide tags for the single as well. And when you add some data, you also use this for invalidate. For when you mutate, you need to use invalidate. For the update, you just use invalidate. And for the delete, you also use invalidate. But because this is working on ID, you are deleting on some ID, you need to get it, because this is the most efficient way. And we need to pass the tag type. Okay, and this invalidate tag is a little bit of advanced. It takes three things: result, error, and arg for getting this ID. Okay, because if you delete this ID, all of the stuff should not be reload, only just delete this stuff, just don't reload everything. Okay, so this is more efficient way. So for the mutation, make sure you remember this invalidate tags, and for any kind of query you just use provide tags. Okay, so this will work just fine. One more thing which is super easy to use, which is edit. Here I'm not gonna do this from scratch. I have one more awesome thing, which is our form update. I'm just reuse this thing. This is all the thing that I'm gonna reuse, so that you can understand form update. Okay, because this updating is very, very important. I'm gonna use form update.jsx, and here I'm gonna pass every single thing. So this is the single project. The form update will take a single project. Okay, in the initial value we have the ID, title, thumbnail, category, description, all of those things that will be coming from the single project. And this is the thing in the initially we have this thing, and this is the thing that will just show in the our form, as you can see. So this is very important, and we can also set some data here. Okay, and in the form data we just pass all of the system. Here in the edit project, we instead of edit we're gonna use the update. Okay, so use update project mutation, and here I'm gonna use update project, simple stuff. So instead of edit, we need to use update in our applications. So this is very simple stuff, and you can just use this thing instead of edit. I'm gonna update all of our data, and we're gonna pass the ID, which is the video ID or the project ID that we have, and in the data we're just passing the data. Because this is a simple thing, because this is an object way, you need to pass the ID exactly, and this ID is exactly should be this ID, which is our project ID, and whatever data that we want to send in the put request. This is the form data, and you can just name it anything, but make sure you have the name, ID and data, okay? Or these two names should be similar to what we have inside this thing. This ID and data, these two name, parameter name, or these two object name, because they are not parameters, they are objects. These two names should be similar. If you go to the update page, if we go to the form update here, these two names should be similar, so that they can understand, and in the value you can pass whatever you like ID, form data, whatever. Okay, so this, because they are objects, so this should be similar name. And I can also reuse one of the thing called update project page, and here you can use this thing. You can copy all of these stuffs, and in the update project page you copy and paste this stuff. Okay, so in the update project, what we have, when we go to the edit, we are going to the particular projects, and here we need to get the single project again, and here use get single project query. Okay, use get single project query, and this is the we need to have the ID, and we're gonna get each data. Based on that ID, I'm gonna show that all of the information in this form. So this is the form that we are showing all of our data. So here, as you can see, we're just passing as a props. So this is the single data that we get from the use single query, and we're just passing all of this thing in the form update. And here we are just getting the initial value, and we're just putting it here. Okay, for the single projects, as you can see, we get all of our data. And when we just want to update something, we have the update submit handler. When this thing fires in the form data, we just put all of our data like key value pairs similar to add, and just in the update actions or update thing, you just pass all of the informations and go to the root page. So this is the same important thing that you're going to use for the updating. So don't worry, we have all the code in this my GitHub repository, so that I'm going to give you all the link and all the source code for this simple applications. So as you can see, there is a very simple amount of code for updating. We're just how easy is that? We're just calling this update project and passing all for data which you want to do, and from the UI we're just taking all of this information. And for simple get list of project, it is so butter smooth and very simple and easy. Make sure you just use this security check if it has some data, otherwise there would be some problem, especially in this RTK query project. This is super important, because we are not using use effect. If you use use effect, this problem will not happen, but use effect is not used so much on this RTK query project. So this is the most detail that is possible. I'm showing create, delete, update, all of this thing, and with the Django REST API that we have. Okay, we have some awesome and beautiful project that is coming, which is very interesting. In the next video, I'm going to reveal that what is that thing, and this project will have a lot of amazing stuffs that you can understand with the Marni stack. Okay, and with RTK query, which would be really interesting. So I hope you understand everything and learn this stuff properly. Deep dive into the next project from next week, where I'm going to show you every single awesome beautiful thing of RTK query with more modern Marni stack applications. Okay, so till then, take care, bye bye. I'll see you in the next video with more awesome and beautiful content.